cannot believe I just said that. What's up, Smarties? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing why I chose dermatology. Yes, why did I not go women's health, being that's my background as a nurse, and why I chose a whole different specialty area, especially dermatology. So if you want to know my reasons, then please keep on watching. Also, don't forget to subscribe, and let's hop right into it. So let's go a little back before I go into like the specific reasons. The first time I thought about dermatology, honestly, was whenever my sister, who is a dermatology NP, came onto my channel. I interviewed her a couple years ago. She shared with us, you know, what she does as a derm NP. And that's when I first was like, okay, this is kind of cool, because I did not even know that NPs worked in dermatology, to be honest. And even after that whole video, I wasn't like, oh, that's what I'm gonna do, dermatology. But it's how I was introduced to the specialty area. And so I went on to grad school, and I always kind of had derm in the back of my head, you know. I ended up shadowing my sister. I asked her if I could follow her at work just to get a better idea of the pace. And that's when my interest started growing. There was definitely aspects of her job that I absolutely loved. I'll talk about those things later. But in general, it was very, very different from what I was used to being an L&D nurse, from the pace, patient population, the support that was there. Everything was just very different. So it was interesting, but like I said, there was things that I loved, and then there's just things that I was just like, oh. But you know, another thing I'm not gonna lie about is when I shadowed her, I was kind of like a little bit like overwhelmed, because the pace, like I said, was very, very different. After shadowing her, I got a lot of insight as to what derm NPs do and diversity within the field, and that started to grow my interest. So went on to grad school, and dermatology was always like in the back of my head. However, I always, you know, I always loved women's health. That's kind of the specialty area I went into as an L&D nurse, and so naturally I could just easily go into women's health as a nurse practitioner, especially considering I knew I wasn't going to pursue midwifery school anymore. What started making me even more interested in dermatology was really, it was two things. One was throughout grad school, God just wanted me to turn into the dermatology patient, and so I started having like all these skin concerns, some of which I've shared with you all on the channel, from hormonal acne, and I also had some other skin challenges I was facing that I won't share with you all. But man, I was frustrated like treating these concerns, and it really took a beating on my self-esteem. And so dermatology became just more and more fascinating to me from that perspective. And then just throughout my clinical rotations in grad school, I'm like, wow, like your skin reflects your health so accurately, and it can be so telling of your health condition. You know, there's so many chronic conditions that are manifested in the skin, and that really was interesting to me. And I started noticing during my primary care rotations and even women's health, I was really asking my preceptor if I could see the patients that were coming in for these like skin complaints, like these rashes. And people usually hate, you know, I'm not gonna say people, but I know sometimes primary care providers are always like, ugh, you know, a rash, like, you know, another rash. It can be, you know, a little bit daunting, I guess, to treat those patients. But for me, it was kind of exciting, because I'm like, wow, I wonder, you know, I'm thinking what causes this rash and trying to go through all the possible things. So anyways, that's kind of how I became more and more interested in dermatology, was through my personal experience, and then through clinical rotations, and then just like recognizing like, oh, I've always kind of had like an interest there, like in some of these things, or a curiosity, maybe that's a better word. I've always had a curiosity of like the cause of a lot of skin concerns and skin lesions, but I never really dedicated myself to learning more about those. And so I'm like, wow, I could actually do that. And so after graduation, you know, I was still kind of straddling the fence as to whether I would do women's health or dermatology. I was really open to either one because to be very honest, I think I would be happy in a career in women's health. I think I would thrive because there is an interest there. I think I will always love women's health, but dermatology, for one reason or the other, kind of like, here's women's health, dermatology was right here when it comes to like just my desire to work in that profession, or in that specialty area rather, not profession, to work in that specialty area. And so what was important to me, especially not having much clinical experience in dermatology, was that I really wanted to have formal education and learning more about skin concerns and the science of the skin. And you know, we didn't get much of that in my graduate program. And so, you know, I was doing a lot of homework online, and long story short, this post-master certificate program in dermatology became a thing starting January of this year. It was brand new. And so when I saw that they were offering this program, I was like, this is absolutely perfect. I applied, I interviewed for the program, and I got accepted. And so once I got into that program, I was like, okay, I'm going into dermatology. Like, this is it. This is what I needed. I needed that education. I needed that strong clinical foundation so that whenever I do start working as a provider, I would feel like I had the roots to do well. So that is why I really chose dermatology, was because I found this specialty program, this postmaster specialty program in the specialty area. And so some of the things that really attracted me to the profession specifically, one, and this I think is something people don't really consider a lot when looking at jobs, and that is all of the dermatology clinicians that I've ever interacted with, they are very happy with their careers. Now, I have not met all the dermatologists and dermatology MPs or dermatology PAs in this world, but in general, the ones that I interact with, not just like on social media, but like in real life, which I think is even more telling than, you know, online, but in real life, they seem very, very just content with their careers. And so that really appealed to me, because I cannot say the same about some other, you know, professions that I've considered in the past, if I'm being very honest. So that was one thing. Two was, I like the pace. When I shadowed my sister, it is quite fast. You're like in and out the patient's rooms, but I actually like that. It kind of reminds me of like a triage setting at the hospital. And so I kind of like being on my feet. I feel like it makes me be a little bit more astute and sharp, versus like having slow days. I can be a little bit more lazy. So I like the pace of dermatology. Oh, I really liked that you get to not only, you know, just do a skin exams and assessments, but you also get to do procedures. That was something that was also really appealing to me. I love that you get to wear scrubs. Honey, it's like wearing pajamas to work, like the best thing. And to be very honest, wearing business professional to work every day just sounded very ghetto to me. No, I'm just kidding. But it's something about wearing scrubs to work. It's just one less thing you have to worry about. And that just was music to my ears when I found out you get to do that in dermatology. And yes, also, I'm not going to generalize and say that's with every office, because I'm not sure, but with my sister, that was the case. And with my job in this practice, I will also be expected to wear scrubs, which is a beautiful thing. And then what else? Oh, and then I also really liked the support you have. Sorry if you can hear my nephew in the background. But I also really enjoyed the support you tend to have with charting. Charting is something I've always just never really had a love for as a health professional. I'm sure most health professionals will tell you they are not in love with charting. But you know, as a dermatology clinician, you often get like a scribe or a medical assistant that will come into the patient's room with you, and they will help you chart your exam findings or whatever. And of course, you know, you have to go back and make sure the charting is complete and accurate. but it's just really nice to have someone to assist you in that task, because it can be very daunting. But you can imagine in a specialty area that's as high volume as dermatology, it would be kind of hard to do it on your own. So that's why they have those scribes in place. Speaking of the volume, I don't think I mentioned, but you can see like 40 patients to 50 patients or more a day. So, you know, there's a lot of people going in and out, in and out. It's going to be different, but similar to what I'm used to, because I do come from a hospital that was high volume. But, you know, we spend a lot of time, of course, at the patient's bedside. So similar, but different. But yeah, y'all, that's basically what it comes down to. Like I said, like, I did not choose women's health because I hated it, or I hated my clinical rotation, because that's not true at all. I will always have like a love for women's health, and I will always advocate for women's health. However, my interest and curiosity in dermatology has peaked in this time of my career, and I'm really excited to kind of fill the gap that exists in dermatology for professionals of color, and really just treating patients of all backgrounds. I'm really excited to be a part of that, and I hope I do a great job. No, I know I'm going to do a great job. And I'm just really excited to share the journey with you all. And yeah, that's all I have for you guys. So the next video I will post for you all is how I made the switch to dermatology from women's health. And then I'm also going to be making a separate video of all the postmaster's programs, the dermatology fellowships or residencies, communities, groups, or online groups, organizations that you should consider if you're interested in this area. Of course, it won't be all inclusive. It'll just be what I found through my research, and I definitely encourage you to always do your own research as well. But I wanted to provide that video for you all because I promised you guys I would, and I definitely want to get it out. So you must be subscribed, and make sure you have the notification bell turned on my channel so you don't miss when I upload that video. And that's all I have for y'all. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.